I tell you, as angry as I get sometimes with Obama's domestic policy and his record on rights, which he talked about today in an interesting interview with the Associated Press. We'll get to that story in a little bit, too. I can't get enough of his foreign policy. And, you know, I love foreign policy. That's my thing, right? And, man, he is just nailing it to the wall. Every single step he's taken so far, I've totally agree with. And by the way, don't get me wrong, there's dissension on this. There are a lot of strong progressives who believe that we should get out of Afghanistan. Don't agree with Obama's policy in Afghanistan at all. I am not in that crowd. I think he's doing exactly the right thing in Afghanistan. So, what's he doing? Well, last night in the middle of the night, last night in Afghanistan time, at 1 a.m., we launched an operation. And the operation was to go, by the way, it's called the Strike of the Sword. Khanjar. Oh, that sounds bad. 4,000 Marines, some Army helicopters involved in it as well, 650 Afghan soldiers. At 1 a.m., we land the helicopters, and we're coming for them. We're coming. And we land in what is really, in essence, Taliban territory, and we start cleaning house. Now, look, it's an actual battle, right? So it's not going to be perfectly clean. This is not a video game. We already lost one Marine. Several have been injured, and they're, you know, taking machine gun fire and sometimes sniper fire in the place they're going. It really is an area that was controlled by the Taliban, but they're squeezing them in, and they say there's two parts of it that I really like. One, they say if we go into an area, and the colonel in charge is explaining this, we will hold it and we will build it. So once we go in, we're not going to go in and go, okay, mission accomplished, and walk back out and let the Taliban walk in. Once we capture some territory back from the Taliban, we're going to stay there until we rebuild the infrastructure there, the government there, and to some degree the economy there. Now that seems ambitious, but it's the right way to go. Because if you keep getting territory and then leaving, it doesn't do you any good. You got to hold and build. I think they learned the right lessons from some of what we did right in the latter stages of the Iraq War. Believe it or not, yes, we did do some things right. And I think they're going to put the investment, that's what they're saying, and that's what they're doing right now, put the investment in to building a community there that can work, and more importantly, a government. Of course, they already have a community, but a government that could work so that the community gets behind the government. And so you win hearts and minds, so then you don't have to keep fighting that war. You will build their infrastructure so they can maintain it. I think it's definitely the right strategy. Now, the second part that I like, they already coordinated with Pakistan, and Pakistan has lined up troops on their side of the border, so that if the Taliban try to run from that area into Pakistan, they're going to get met by the Pakistani army. Okay, now we're having a conversation. This is how you do a military operation. Okay, why was this so hard to figure out? In the past, when Bush was in charge, and look, Rumsfeld, that was the problem, okay? Because later, when Gates was in charge and Bush was still president, Defense Secretary Robert Gates, we improved dramatically in Iraq. Now we're focusing on Afghanistan and we're doing a better job. So I'm putting the blame largely on Rumsfeld here. When he was in charge in Afghanistan, we go, all right, let's go into there and bomb some things and houses. And right now we're also, point number 3, we're being careful not to bomb the houses. Some might say, hey, we're being overly careful. But you know what? You got to win hearts and minds, otherwise we can never leave. So it's better to be a little over-careful in this situation than reckless like Rumsfeld was. And we go in there guns blazing, we'd capture some territory, and the idiot would hold up a mission accomplished banner and then walk out, and the Taliban would walk right back in. How much brain power does it take? And I'm not a military guy to figure out you squeeze them in, you don't let them go to Pakistan, and you don't let them come back in. God, how easy is that in some ways? So as I read this story, I think this strategy looks like it is, and the tactics involved look like it is exactly the right way to go. So I'm thrilled about what Obama's doing with the Marines here, and to some degree the Army as well, in Afghanistan. And how he's coordinating with Pakistan. It's diplomacy, it's the right strategy, it's the right tactics. Go forward, move forward. Let me see what you got.